Chapter 1 Introduction to the Book of Jubilees. Imagine an ancient text, hidden from the world, claiming to reveal untold stories of the creation, the lives of the patriarchs, and the earliest divine laws. This is the Book of Jubilees, often referred to as the Little Genesis. Though it shares foundational elements with the Book of Genesis, Jubilees presents a unique and controversial perspective on sacred history, filling in what it calls missing details, and even introducing alternate accounts of divine laws and heavenly beings that aren't found in mainstream Christian scripture. Yet, unlike Genesis, Jubilees was excluded from most Christian Bibles, and only the Ethiopian Orthodox Church preserved it as part of its canon. So why was this text banned, and what secrets does it hold? If you found value in this exploration of the Book of Jubilees and its fascinating insights into divine order, sacred time, and cosmic law, please take a moment to like this video. Subscribe to our channel for more in-depth journeys into ancient texts and spiritual teachings that continue to inspire us today. By liking, subscribing, and sharing with others, you help us bring these profound stories and timeless wisdom to a broader community. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to diving even deeper with you in our next video. Chapter 1 Introduction to the Book of Jubilees. The Book of Jubilees, dating back to around the 2nd century BCE, appears during a period known as the Second Temple Era, a time when Jewish apocalyptic literature flourished. In this era, texts with bold visions of divine revelation, cosmic events, and prophetic foresight were being created to address questions about divine order and the end of times. But the Book of Jubilees stands out for more than just its apocalyptic tone. Written in a style that expands on Genesis, it takes readers on a journey through sacred time, explaining that time itself has a divine structure governed by heavenly beings. It claims that even the calendar most of us follow is incorrect, that true timekeeping must align with a 364-day year divided into 4 equal seasons, each with exactly 91 days. By following this sacred calendar, Jubilees argues, humanity remains in alignment with God's will. This focus on a divine order is not limited to time. Jubilees presents the concept of heavenly tablets, a set of celestial records containing not only God's laws but the entire timeline of human history and its ultimate destiny. In Jubilees, these tablets were created at the beginning of time, and they reveal that everything follows a preordained plan. Each of the key figures we read about in Genesis, from Adam and Noah to Abraham and Jacob, is portrayed as living according to this cosmic order, guided by angels who ensure that God's divine law is upheld. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church's preservation of Jubilees highlights a fascinating split in early Christian views on Scripture. The Ethiopian Bible, which includes Jubilees and other ancient texts like the Book of Enoch, reflects a broader and older tradition of biblical literature than most Christians are familiar with today. By preserving Jubilees, the Ethiopian Church maintains a connection to the rich world of Jewish apocalyptic literature, where angels, cosmic battles, and hidden divine laws played a crucial role in understanding God's plan. Today, scholars believe the Book of Jubilees was likely composed in Hebrew before being translated into Greek, Latin, and eventually Ethiopic. Although most ancient Jewish and Christian communities ultimately chose to exclude Jubilees from their canons, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church revered the text, incorporating it into its sacred writings. To this day, Ethiopian Christians regard Jubilees as an important book that offers divine insight into the lives of the patriarchs and the sacredness of God's order. But the allure of Jubilees goes beyond its preserved status. The book's unique teachings, particularly its insistence on a solar calendar, its portrayal of angels as enforcers of cosmic order, and its claim that divine laws existed long before Moses, challenge the conventional understanding of biblical history. These themes make Jubilees a controversial yet compelling work, sparking curiosity about the details it unveils. In this video, we'll take a journey through the Book of Jubilees, uncovering its key messages and understanding why it was both celebrated and censured. We'll explore the intriguing stories it tells about the patriarchs, the hidden commandments it reveals, and, ultimately, the reasons why such a text, filled with cosmic secrets and divine insights, was left out of mainstream Christianity. Join us as we dive into this ancient text, starting with the very beginning of time as Jubilees envisions it, to discover what makes this book so mysterious and why it continues to captivate those who seek hidden truths. Chapter 2: The Origins and Historical Context of the Book of Jubilees. To fully understand the Book of Jubilees, it's crucial to consider the historical and religious environment in which it was written. Scholars generally date Jubilees to around the 2nd century BCE, during a period of intense social and religious upheaval for the Jewish people. Known as the Second Temple era, this was a time when Jewish society was contending with foreign rule, cultural assimilation, and questions about religious purity and identity. It was also a period marked by a flourishing of apocalyptic literature, works that often contained visions of divine intervention, cosmic order, and the end times. In this context, the Book of Jubilees emerges as a text that seeks to assert a distinctly Jewish identity grounded in the concept of sacred law, cosmic order, and an unbroken lineage of divine instruction. Jubilees shares thematic connections with several other significant texts from the period, most notably the Book of Enoch. Like Enoch, Jubilees presents a vision of the universe populated with angels, heavenly secrets, and cosmic justice. Both books emphasize a deterministic worldview, where history unfolds according to a divine plan written on heavenly tablets. In fact, some scholars speculate that Jubilees was directly influenced by the Book of Enoch, which was widely read in Jewish communities during the Second Temple era. Both books are also preserved in the Ethiopian Orthodox canon, suggesting a shared cultural or theological resonance that endured in Ethiopia but was largely dismissed by other Christian communities. One of the reasons Jubilees was embraced by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church is its alignment with the ancient Ethiopian tradition of including apocalyptic and other non-canonical texts. Ethiopia's Christian canon includes not only Jubilees and Enoch, but also other texts like 1 and 2 Maccabees, which most other Christian Bibles omit. Ethiopian Christianity developed along a unique path, influenced by early Jewish and Christian traditions, including the preservation of texts that offered a broader, more mystical understanding of God's interactions with humanity. In this canon, Jubilees is not an anomaly, but part of a larger tradition that values the insight provided by these ancient writings. Jubilees was originally composed in Hebrew and was likely circulated among Jewish communities in Palestine. The book emphasizes strict adherence to Jewish law and purity practices, reflecting the concerns of the Jewish community at that time. The Maccabean Revolt, a rebellion against Hellenistic influence in Judea, had only recently concluded, resulting in a heightened awareness of Jewish identity and resistance to foreign customs. Jubilees' portrayal of the patriarchs as followers of Mosaic law, even though they predate Moses by centuries, might be understood as an attempt to reinforce the timeless, divinely ordained nature of Jewish practices. By presenting figures like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as observing Sabbath laws, dietary restrictions, and sacrificial customs, Jubilees makes a clear statement: these practices are not merely cultural, but are woven into the very fabric of creation itself. Another significant aspect of Jubilees' historical context is its emphasis on sacred time. The book advocates for a solar calendar with a 364-day year divided into 4 equal seasons, a perspective that directly challenges the lunar calendar traditionally used by Jewish communities. During the Second Temple period, the calendar was a contentious issue, with different Jewish sects favoring either the solar or lunar calendar. The Qumran community, for example, which produced the Dead Sea Scrolls, also adhered to a solar calendar similar to the one Jubilees describes. The insistence on a solar calendar in Jubilees is not just a matter of timekeeping, it represents a theological stance. For Jubilees, observing the solar calendar is a way to align with the cosmic order established by God, while deviating from it leads to spiritual disorder. Jubilees was thus written at a time of competing religious ideas and practices, making it a text that seeks to preserve and reinforce a specific vision of Jewish faith and identity. Its focus on purity, strict adherence to divine law, and the importance of sacred time would have appealed to those who felt that traditional values were under threat. At the same time, its mystical elements, like the heavenly tablets, which contain a predetermined history of the world, and the role of angels as enforcers of God's will, offered a captivating glimpse into a divinely ordered universe. This blend of legalism and mysticism is part of what made Jubilees both influential and controversial. Ultimately, Jubilees represents a particular strand of Jewish thought during the Second Temple period, a strand that sought to balance a strict commitment to law with an awe for the mysteries of creation and divine order. While it did not become part of the Jewish or Christian canon outside Ethiopia, its influence can still be felt in other apocalyptic texts and traditions. By preserving Jubilees, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church offers us a window into a time when questions of identity, purity, and divine purpose were at the forefront of religious thought. Through this window, we can glimpse a unique interpretation of sacred history, one that emphasizes a cosmic plan that transcends human understanding and a divine law that reaches back to the beginning of time. As we move deeper into the Book of Jubilees, we'll uncover the unique stories and teachings that this ancient text preserves. From the creation of angels to the commandments given to the patriarchs, Jubilees invites us into a world where every aspect of existence is bound by sacred order. In the next section, we'll explore the contents of this fascinating book, beginning with its version of the stories we thought we knew. Chapter 3: Key Themes and Unique Stories in the Book of Jubilees. In the Book of Jubilees, familiar stories from Genesis are retold with new details and perspectives that offer a deeper cosmic meaning to the lives and actions of the patriarchs. Through its 50 chapters, Jubilees not only presents alternative versions of events, but also reveals a world closely monitored by angels and governed by divine laws recorded on the heavenly tablets. This theme of cosmic order, where time, actions, and laws are all meticulously arranged, runs throughout the book, providing a sense of preordained purpose to every event. One of the most striking aspects of Jubilees is its expanded portrayal of creation and the role of angels. In Genesis, the creation narrative is primarily focused on the formation of the earth, humans, and the heavens. However, Jubilees goes a step further by introducing the idea that angels were created on the first day. According to Jubilees, these angels weren't passive observers, they were given authority over different elements of the universe, from the movements of celestial bodies to the governance of natural events. These heavenly beings are not just guardians but active participants in upholding the divine order. Jubilees describe certain classes of angels with specific responsibilities. Some are tasked with guiding humanity, while others oversee the seasons and time, ensuring that every aspect of creation functions in perfect harmony. This expanded creation narrative provides a cosmic backdrop for Jubilees' other stories, infusing the book with a sense of preordained structure. Every event is seen as part of a larger, heavenly design, and each commandment or law given to humanity is a reflection of the laws that even the angels must follow. This perspective adds a new layer to stories like the creation of Adam and the fall of Cain, portraying them not as isolated incidents but as disruptions in the cosmic balance. The stories of the patriarchs, Adam, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are also reinterpreted in Jubilees, with each patriarch portrayed as observing commandments and divine laws long before the time of Moses. In Genesis, we see God interacting with the patriarchs in unique ways, but Jubilees adds another dimension by suggesting that these interactions were governed by pre-existing laws. Adam, for example, is depicted as observing purity laws and Sabbath rules, while Noah follows specific instructions for sacrifices and other rituals. The text implies that these laws were not innovations given exclusively to Moses, but eternal laws woven into the fabric of creation, upheld by the patriarchs as part of their covenant with God. This portrayal of the patriarchs as early law-abiders reinforces the book's message that divine commandments are universal and timeless. For instance, Abraham is described as keeping the Sabbath, maintaining purity laws, and even practicing circumcision long before these practices became central to the Mosaic law. This perspective challenges the traditional view that the law was introduced exclusively at Sinai and presents it instead as a continuation of an ancient covenant that stretches back to the very beginning of humanity. The story of Noah and the flood is also given a unique twist in Jubilees. While Genesis briefly mentions the Nephilim, the offspring of sons of God and human women, as a cause of corruption on earth, Jubilees goes into greater detail, depicting these beings as key contributors to the world's moral decay. Jubilees describes how these Nephilim introduced forbidden knowledge to humans, teaching them practices that led to widespread sin. In this account, the flood is not merely a punishment for human sin, but a divine response to a cosmic imbalance caused by the influence of these angelic beings and their offspring. This adds a new layer to the flood narrative, portraying it as a necessary cleansing to restore the universe to its intended order. After the flood, Jubilees continues to focus on the theme of divine law by emphasizing the covenant that God establishes with Noah. This covenant includes specific commandments related to purity, sacrifice, and the observance of holy days, practices that were meant to prevent humanity from slipping back into the chaos that led to the flood. According to Jubilees, God instructs Noah and his descendants to follow these commandments as part of their covenant, implying that the observance of divine law is not merely a cultural requirement, but an essential aspect of maintaining order in the universe. Abraham's life is also portrayed with a unique narrative arc in Jubilees. While Genesis focuses on Abraham's obedience and faith, Jubilees adds an element of spiritual rebellion by describing Abraham as an iconoclast who rejects the idolatry of his father's house. In this version, Abraham actively destroys his father's idols as a declaration of his commitment to the one true God. This portrayal of Abraham as a reformer not only underscores his role as the father of a chosen people, but also reflects Jubilees' emphasis on the rejection of idolatry as a foundation of faith. By depicting Abraham in this way, Jubilees reinforces its message that true faith requires a rejection of all forms of impurity and a commitment to divine law. The story of Jacob and Esau also takes on a cosmic dimension in Jubilees, which presents their rivalry as part of a larger divine plan. While Genesis portrays their conflict as a family feud, Jubilees suggests that Jacob was chosen from birth to inherit the covenant, while Esau was destined to stray from God's path. This theme of predestination is woven throughout the book, reinforcing the idea that the patriarchs' lives were guided by divine will rather than mere chance. In this interpretation, Jacob's actions, though sometimes deceptive, are portrayed as fulfilling a divine purpose, while Esau's choices represent a rejection of God's covenant. Jubilees uses these retellings to underscore a central theme, that every aspect of life, from timekeeping to personal conduct, is governed by a divine order. By following this order, humanity can live in harmony with God's will, while deviation from it leads to disorder and chaos. This belief in a preordained cosmic plan is reflected in the book's emphasis on the heavenly tablets, which serve as a divine record of all laws and events. Jubilees suggests that these tablets contain not only God's commandments, but also the entire timeline of human history, indicating that everything has been foreseen and recorded since the beginning of time. Through its unique narratives and theological insights, the Book of Jubilees presents a world where every action and law has cosmic significance. By reinterpreting the stories of the patriarchs and emphasizing the timelessness of divine law, Jubilees offers a vision of sacred history that is both ancient and universal. This perspective sets Jubilees apart from Genesis and other biblical texts, making it a work that invites readers to see the lives of the patriarchs, and indeed, all of human history, as part of a grand, divine design. As we continue our exploration, we'll turn our focus to one of the book's most distinctive elements, its concept of time. For Jubilees, time itself is sacred, with specific rhythms and cycles that must be observed to maintain alignment with the divine order. Join us as we uncover why Jubilees insists on a solar calendar and what this means for the sacredness of time. Chapter 4: Sacred Time and the Solar Calendar in the Book of Jubilees. One of the most unique and striking elements in the Book of Jubilees is its concept of sacred time, which is tied closely to a solar calendar. Unlike the traditional lunar calendar followed by many Jewish communities, Jubilees advocates a 364-day year divided into 4 equal seasons, each containing exactly 91 days. This calendar is more than a method of timekeeping. For Jubilees, it is a reflection of the divine order, a cosmic rhythm set in motion by God that humanity is meant to follow. The idea is that time itself is sacred and must be observed in alignment with this preordained cycle to maintain harmony with the Creator. Jubilees presents the 364-day solar calendar as the only true way to measure time. The text argues that this calendar keeps holy days, like the Sabbath and annual festivals, consistently aligned with the same dates year after year. This fixed cycle is said to preserve the sanctity of holy days, ensuring they always occur at their appointed times. By following this calendar, Jubilees claims, humanity can remain in step with the divine, reflecting the cosmic order that governs both heaven and earth. This notion of a solar calendar is not simply about practicality, it's a theological stance. Jubilee suggests that the lunar calendar, which causes dates for holy days to shift over time, leads to a disorder that disrupts humanity's connection with God. In Jubilees, this departure from the solar calendar is not just a mistake but a form of spiritual deviation, distancing humanity from the divine rhythm established at the beginning of creation. The book warns that following the lunar calendar can lead to chaos, as it is out of sync with the eternal cycles set by God. In Jubilees, timekeeping is infused with a sense of cosmic order. The 364-day solar calendar is said to mirror the movements of the heavenly bodies, with angels overseeing the changing of the seasons and the divisions of time. According to Jubilees, certain angels are specifically tasked with maintaining the regular cycles of time. They ensure that the sun, moon, and stars follow their appointed paths and that sacred events occur according to the heavenly tablets, a set of divine records that outline the proper observance of time and law. These angels act as custodians of the divine order, safeguarding humanity's connection to sacred time. The insistence on this solar calendar also reflects Jubilee's vision of a preordained world. The book repeatedly emphasizes that creation has a specific structure, governed by God's law and carried out by angels who maintain that structure. Every aspect of time, from the weekly Sabbath to the annual festivals, is bound to this order. Deviating from it disrupts not only religious observance but also the relationship between heaven and earth. For Jubilees, time is more than a sequence of days and nights, it's a framework that reflects God's will, and to abandon this framework is to abandon one's connection to the divine. In contrast to the lunar calendar, which allows for variances and shifts in sacred dates, Jubilee's solar calendar is precise and immutable. Each season, each week, and each day has its designated place, and this system eliminates the irregularities seen in other calendars. Each season contains exactly 13 weeks, which aligns perfectly with the 4 quarters of the year, ensuring that religious observances like the Sabbath always fall on the same day. The unchanging nature of this calendar reflects the unchanging nature of God's will, emphasizing that the divine order does not fluctuate or adapt to human preferences. The community at Qumran, which produced the Dead Sea Scrolls, is believed to have adhered to a calendar similar to the one described in Jubilees, indicating that this concept of a solar year had influence among certain Jewish groups of the Second Temple period. The Qumran community's texts also emphasize the sanctity of time and strict observance of holy days according to a 364-day calendar, similar to the one in Jubilees. This parallel suggests that Jubilees may have inspired other Jewish sects to adopt a solar calendar as part of their religious observance, viewing it as a sign of purity and alignment with divine will. The theological significance of sacred time in Jubilees extends beyond religious observance. It's a matter of maintaining spiritual harmony with God's design. By following the 364-day solar calendar, humanity participates in a divine rhythm, mirroring the order established by God in the cosmos. This alignment with the divine order is central to Jubilee's message, reinforcing the belief that spiritual disorder arises from a failure to follow the correct time. Just as angels follow their roles in maintaining the heavens, humans are called to follow this divinely ordained calendar to uphold the sanctity of time on earth. Through this emphasis on sacred time, the Book of Jubilees presents a worldview where every moment is bound to a larger, divine order. Timekeeping becomes an act of devotion, a way of living in harmony with the structure of creation itself. By prescribing a fixed, solar calendar, Jubilees offers a path to spiritual alignment, encouraging its followers to synchronize their lives with the rhythms of heaven. In doing so, Jubilees challenges us to rethink how we perceive time, not as a neutral backdrop but as a sacred dimension of existence that connects us to the Creator. In the next section, we'll explore how this focus on cosmic order extends beyond timekeeping to include divine laws and eternal covenants that, according to Jubilees, existed long before Moses. Join us as we uncover the laws and commandments that Jubilees claims were followed by the earliest patriarchs, offering a vision of divine law that transcends the boundaries of time. Chapter 5: Divine Law and Eternal Covenant in the Book of Jubilees. The Book of Jubilees offers a revolutionary perspective on divine law, claiming that the commandments observed by the Israelites were not introduced solely through Moses at Mount Sinai. Instead, Jubilees presents these laws as eternal commandments that existed from the very beginning of creation and were passed down through a divine lineage. According to this text, figures like Adam, Noah, Abraham, and Jacob were already observing the core elements of the Mosaic law, including the Sabbath, dietary restrictions, purity laws, and even sacrificial rituals. For Jubilees, these laws are timeless, existing independently of any specific covenant with Israel. They are woven into the fabric of creation itself. Jubilees emphasizes that the observance of these divine laws is a covenant not only between God and humanity but also within the heavenly realm. The book suggests that the same laws observed by humans were also upheld by angels, particularly those known as the angels of the presence, who are depicted as divine beings tasked with enforcing and maintaining God's commandments. This idea elevates the laws beyond earthly observance, suggesting that adherence to them is part of a cosmic order, a divine structure that even the heavenly hosts respect and follow. One of the most striking examples of this concept is the Sabbath. In Jubilees, the Sabbath is portrayed as a cosmic principle that was established at the beginning of creation. When God rests on the seventh day, He not only sanctifies it for humanity but also for the entire divine order. Angels, like humans, are described as observing the Sabbath, reinforcing the idea that it is a law that transcends human history. By keeping the Sabbath, humanity aligns itself with a rhythm that reaches beyond earthly life, participating in a holy cycle that reflects the divine rest after creation. This perspective contrasts sharply with the traditional view that the Sabbath was a specific covenantal sign between God and Israel. In Jubilees, it is an eternal law, binding all beings to the Creator. Purity laws and dietary restrictions also play a significant role in Jubilees, emphasizing the importance of maintaining both physical and spiritual purity. These commandments are presented not merely as cultural customs but as essential aspects of living in alignment with divine will. Jubilees describes how figures like Adam and Noah observed purity laws long before they were codified in the Mosaic law, suggesting that these rules were part of an original, universal covenant. By following these laws, humanity remains pure in the sight of God, ensuring that they do not disrupt the sacred order that He established. The theme of sacrifice is also deeply embedded in Jubilees' portrayal of divine law. Sacrifices are presented not as rituals invented for the Israelites, but as practices dating back to the earliest humans. According to Jubilees, Noah was the first to offer burnt sacrifices after the flood, a ritual that symbolized gratitude and reconsecration to God's will. Later, Abraham's offerings further established sacrifice as a key component of humanity's relationship with the divine. This perspective on sacrifice as an ancient, universal practice implies that it is a way for humanity to maintain a direct connection with God, a way to acknowledge His sovereignty and seek favor. The covenants established with Adam, Noah, and Abraham are portrayed in Jubilees as extensions of one overarching, eternal covenant that God made with humanity. Each covenant builds upon the previous one, adding layers of law and responsibility that are all part of a single divine plan. For example, after the flood, God reaffirms His covenant with Noah, not only promising never to flood the earth again, but also emphasizing commandments that Noah and his descendants are expected to uphold. This covenant includes moral and dietary laws, which Jubilees argues were intended to guide humanity toward a life of holiness and obedience. The laws given to Abraham in Jubilees are particularly significant, as they establish circumcision as a physical sign of the covenant. According to Jubilees, this was not merely a commandment for Abraham's immediate family, but an eternal mark of God's relationship with His chosen people. Circumcision, in Jubilees' view, represents a physical and spiritual alignment with God's eternal laws, making it a sign that connects Abraham's descendants with the divine order across generations. By framing circumcision as part of a cosmic law, Jubilees emphasizes its importance as more than just a cultural or national symbol. It is a sign of an everlasting covenant with God. One of the most remarkable aspects of Jubilees' interpretation of divine law is the claim that all commandments were inscribed on heavenly tablets before being revealed to humanity. These tablets are depicted as divine blueprints that outline not only the laws, but the entire course of history, from creation to the final judgment. By anchoring the laws in these celestial records, Jubilees reinforces the idea that God's commandments are not subject to change or adaptation. They are fixed in the divine realm and apply to all generations, transcending time and human culture. This perspective positions the heavenly tablets as a symbol of God's unchanging will, a record that even angels refer to when enforcing divine order on earth. Through these teachings, Jubilees presents a vision of divine law that is both timeless and universal. The commandments are not merely rules for a particular people or time, but are part of a grand cosmic design that binds all of creation. This perspective elevates the observance of the law to a matter of cosmic significance, aligning humanity with a divine order that stretches beyond earthly life and into the eternal realm. In Jubilees, following God's commandments is more than religious duty, it is a way of living in harmony with the universe, a path to spiritual alignment that echoes across time. In the next section, we will delve into the reasons why Jubilees' radical views on law and divine order caused it to be viewed with suspicion and controversy. Join us as we explore the points of contention that ultimately led to Jubilees being excluded from the mainstream biblical canon. Chapter 7: Why the Book of Jubilees was excluded from the canon. Despite its rich narratives, theological depth, and influence within certain religious communities, the Book of Jubilees was ultimately excluded from the mainstream biblical canon. The reasons for this exclusion are layered and complex, stemming from its distinctive interpretations of sacred time, its portrayal of divine law, and its emphasis on angelic authority and predestination. Each of these elements diverged sharply from mainstream Jewish and early Christian teachings, leading to Jubilees' marginalization within most religious traditions. One of the primary reasons Jubilees faced resistance was its insistence on the 364-day solar calendar. This calendar, meticulously structured to reflect divine order, was viewed as a departure from the traditional lunar calendar used by Jewish communities, including those at the Temple in Jerusalem. The lunar calendar, which is based on the phases of the moon, was an integral part of Jewish religious life, marking the timing of festivals, holy days, and ritual observances. By promoting a strictly solar calendar, Jubilees not only contradicted the prevailing system but also implied that those observing the lunar calendar were failing to align with God's true time. This stance could be seen as a direct challenge to the religious authorities of the time, casting doubt on their practices and suggesting that the true path to God was being neglected. Jubilees' emphasis on pre-Mosaic law also posed a theological challenge. Traditional Jewish and Christian beliefs hold that the Mosaic law, delivered to Moses at Mount Sinai, was a unique and defining moment in the covenant between God and Israel. However, Jubilees portrays the core elements of this law as predating Moses, suggesting that figures like Adam, Noah, and Abraham were already observing laws related to the Sabbath, purity, and sacrifices. This perspective reframes the covenant, presenting it as an eternal set of commandments that applied universally, even before the formal revelation at Sinai. For religious authorities, this undermined the importance of Mosaic law as a pivotal event and could be seen as diminishing the unique role of Israel in God's plan, shifting the focus instead to a universal and timeless law that extended beyond any single community. Additionally, the central role of angels in Jubilee set it apart from traditional teachings. In mainstream Jewish and Christian texts, angels often serve as messengers or instruments of God's will, but their roles remain secondary to the direct relationship between God and humanity. In Jubilees, however, angels take on a more authoritative role, acting as intermediaries who enforce divine laws and monitor cosmic order. The heavenly tablets, which Jubilees claims contain a record of God's commandments and human history, serve as an indication that divine law is not only predestined but also managed by angelic beings. This portrayal of angels as enforcers of a fixed cosmic order could be seen as distancing humanity from a personal relationship with God, instead placing humanity under the surveillance of a heavenly bureaucracy. For early Christian communities that emphasize direct faith in God, this interpretation of angels as overseers and enforcers might have appeared too impersonal and even deterministic. The Book of Jubilees also faced skepticism due to its vision of predestination and cosmic determinism. The idea that every event is written on the heavenly tablets, with human history following a preordained script, contrasts with the emphasis on free will in both Jewish and Christian thought. Jubilee suggests that every choice and event was foreseen by God and recorded, leaving little room for individual agency. Figures like Jacob and Esau, for example, are depicted as fulfilling roles set in place before their birth, with Jacob chosen to inherit the covenant and Esau destined to stray. This deterministic view of history and morality implies that individuals are simply enacting a divine plan that they have little power to alter. Such a perspective may have appeared restrictive and overly fatalistic to early Christian and Jewish leaders who believed in the importance of free will and individual responsibility in the pursuit of righteousness. These theological divergences, cosmic determinism, the expanded role of angels, the reinterpretation of Mosaic law, and the rejection of the lunar calendar, were compounded by Jubilee's apocalyptic tone and its associations with Jewish sectarianism. Certain sects, like the Qumran community, who were known for producing the Dead Sea Scrolls, held beliefs similar to those found in Jubilees, such as a strict adherence to a solar calendar and a focus on purity laws. However, these groups often positioned themselves in opposition to the religious mainstream, leading to a perception that Jubilees represented a form of sectarian literature. By aligning with these minority groups, Jubilees may have inadvertently alienated itself from broader acceptance, as it was associated with beliefs and practices that were seen as fringe or even rebellious. As the early Christian canon began to take shape, Jubilees' mystical and apocalyptic elements further contributed to its exclusion. Early church leaders, influenced by the teachings of Jesus and the apostles, prioritized texts that focused on ethical teachings, redemption, and the direct relationship between God and humanity. Books with heavy emphasis on angelic hierarchies, cosmic mysteries, and pre-Mosaic law were viewed with caution, as they seemed to detract from the core message of faith, grace, and salvation. Jubilees' complex vision of a preordained universe governed by divine law and celestial beings simply didn't align with the theological priorities of the emerging Christian church. Ultimately, the Book of Jubilees was left out of the mainstream Jewish and Christian canons, preserved only by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and certain other minority traditions. Its teachings on time, law, and divine authority were seen as too controversial, too mystical, and too rigidly deterministic to be widely accepted. Yet, despite its marginalization, Jubilees continues to captivate readers with its unique vision of a world governed by a cosmic law, where every action and event is woven into a divine tapestry that stretches across time. In our next chapter, we'll delve into the comparative context by examining Jubilees alongside other apocalyptic texts, such as the Book of Enoch, to gain a deeper understanding of where it fits within the broader tradition of Jewish mystical literature. Join us as we explore these fascinating parallels and contrasts, unveiling a shared world of angelic beings, heavenly visions, and divine secrets that shape the spiritual landscape of ancient Judaism. Chapter 8. Comparing the Book of Jubilees with other apocalyptic texts. The Book of Jubilees is often grouped with other Jewish apocalyptic texts, particularly the Book of Enoch, due to their shared themes of cosmic order, angelic authority, and hidden divine knowledge. These texts, composed during the Second Temple period, reflect a vision of the world deeply influenced by a sense of divine mystery, with angels acting as stewards of God's plan and cosmic laws governing all of existence. However, while Jubilees and Enoch share many similarities, each book has its unique focus and theological perspective, revealing the diversity within Jewish apocalyptic thought. One of the most significant connections between Jubilees and Enoch is their portrayal of angels and the concept of a cosmic order. In both texts, angels are not merely messengers but overseers and enforcers of divine law. They govern the movements of the heavens, the cycles of time, and the fate of humanity. For instance, Jubilees describes how angels were created on the first day and given authority over aspects of creation, including the solar calendar, seasons, and natural events. Similarly, in the Book of Enoch, certain angels are depicted as guardians of heavenly knowledge and enforcers of God's laws. This shared emphasis on angelic authority gives both books a unique theological dimension, suggesting that the divine will is carried out through a structured hierarchy in the heavenly realms. However, while Jubilees uses this angelic hierarchy to emphasize divine law and order, Enoch delves into the dangers of angelic rebellion. The Book of Enoch includes the infamous tale of the Watchers, a group of angels who descended to earth and, against God's will, intermingled with humans. Their offspring, known as the Nephilim, are depicted as giants whose presence leads to corruption and violence on earth, ultimately triggering the Great Flood. This narrative of angelic rebellion serves as a cautionary tale, warning of the consequences when divine beings stray from their ordained roles. Jubilees, while acknowledging the presence of fallen angels, focuses less on rebellion and more on the preservation of cosmic order. For Jubilees, the angels act as upholders of God's will, ensuring that humanity and creation align with divine law. Another key similarity between Jubilees and Enoch is their use of heavenly tablets, divine records that contain God's commandments, historical events, and the destiny of creation. Both books present these tablets as a kind of celestial blueprint, symbolizing the predetermined nature of God's plan. In Jubilees, the heavenly tablets hold a record of every significant event and law, implying that the course of human history is preordained. Enoch also refers to heavenly records, but its focus is often on the consequences of human and angelic actions, recorded in the heavens as a testament to divine judgment. By presenting these celestial records, both books reinforce a sense of cosmic determinism, suggesting that the universe operates according to an unchangeable divine plan. Despite these similarities, Jubilees and Enoch diverge significantly in their treatment of time and sacred observances. While Jubilees places heavy emphasis on the 364-day solar calendar and asserts that it is the only way to keep time in alignment with God's will, the Book of Enoch does not prescribe such a rigid timekeeping system. Instead, Enoch's visions provide a general sense of cosmic cycles and heavenly movements without specifying a fixed calendar structure. This distinction highlights Jubilees' unique focus on sacred time as a pillar of divine law. In Jubilees, the observance of the solar calendar is a matter of spiritual significance, a way for humanity to remain in harmony with the order established by God. Enoch's apocalyptic visions, by contrast, are more concerned with the unfolding of divine judgment and the fate of humanity than with the specifics of timekeeping. The Qumran community, known for producing the Dead Sea Scrolls, appears to have been influenced by both Jubilees and Enoch. Texts found at Qumran reflect an adherence to a similar 364-day calendar and emphasize themes of purity, law, and cosmic order. Like Jubilees, the Qumran sectarians saw themselves as a chosen group called to uphold God's laws meticulously, even against the practices of mainstream Jewish society. The presence of both Jubilees and Enoch fragments at Qumran suggests that this community valued a broader spectrum of apocalyptic literature, using these texts to shape a worldview that emphasized divine order, angelic roles, and the expectation of an impending judgment. This connection indicates that Jubilees and Enoch, while not universally accepted, played an influential role in shaping the beliefs of specific Jewish sects during the Second Temple period. While Jubilees emphasizes a strictly ordered, law-abiding universe, the Book of Enoch explores themes of moral corruption, divine wrath, and eventual redemption. Enoch's narrative includes visions of heaven and hell, cosmic battles, and the promise of a final judgment, portraying a dynamic struggle between good and evil. This apocalyptic focus on judgment and retribution offers a more dramatic vision of divine justice compared to Jubilees' emphasis on divine law and predestination. Enoch's vivid descriptions of the Watcher's rebellion and the punishment of sinners present a narrative of conflict and ultimate victory over evil, painting a picture of a universe where divine justice will triumph in the end. This portrayal resonates with apocalyptic literature that seeks to address the suffering and injustices faced by believers, providing them with the hope of ultimate divine intervention. In contrast, Jubilees is more concerned with the obedience to divine law as the foundation for a righteous life. It suggests that by following the eternal commandments inscribed on the heavenly tablets, humanity can achieve harmony with the divine order and avoid the chaos seen in Enoch's visions. Jubilees portrays a universe where everything is preordained, where laws guide both angels and humans, and where obedience to God's will is the key to preserving cosmic balance. This distinction between Enoch's focus on divine intervention and Jubilees' focus on divine law illustrates the range of perspectives within apocalyptic literature, offering different solutions to the problem of human suffering and divine justice. Together, Jubilees and Enoch represent two complementary yet distinct visions of the universe. Jubilees emphasizes structure, obedience, and the timeless nature of divine law, while Enoch explores the consequences of rebellion, the dynamics of divine judgment, and the promise of eventual redemption. Both books offer a glimpse into a mystical worldview that sees the universe as intricately connected to the will of God, upheld by angelic beings, and governed by principles that transcend human understanding. In the end, the presence of both Jubilees and Enoch within the Ethiopian Orthodox canon speaks to the diversity and richness of ancient Jewish apocalyptic thought. While Jubilees provides a vision of sacred time and divine law, Enoch offers a dramatic portrayal of cosmic conflict and ultimate redemption. By comparing these texts, we gain a broader understanding of the many ways ancient Jewish communities sought to comprehend the mysteries of creation, divine justice, and humanity's place within the cosmos. In our concluding chapter, we'll reflect on the spiritual lessons and enduring relevance of the Book of Jubilees. As we consider its vision of a preordained world governed by eternal laws, we'll explore whether the teachings of Jubilees can still resonate with those seeking a deeper understanding of divine order in the modern world. Chapter 9: Reflection on the spiritual lessons and relevance of the Book of Jubilees. As we reach the conclusion of our journey through the Book of Jubilees, we are left with a profound sense of awe at the unique spiritual vision it presents. Jubilees is more than an ancient text filled with stories of the patriarchs and divine laws. It offers a mystical worldview in which every detail of creation, every law, and every moment is part of a grand design established by God. Through its emphasis on sacred time, eternal law, and cosmic order, Jubilees invites readers to view life as an integral part of a divine rhythm, a rhythm that, when followed, aligns us with the Creator's will and with the heavenly order. One of the central spiritual lessons of Jubilees is its teaching on obedience to divine law as a means of achieving harmony with God and the universe. In Jubilees, obedience is not simply a matter of religious duty but a way of living in accordance with the divine blueprint that underlies all existence. By observing God's commandments, humanity participates in the cosmic order, becoming part of a cycle of holiness that links heaven and earth. This perspective encourages a life rooted in intentionality and reverence, as each act of obedience strengthens one's connection to the sacred. The concept of sacred time in Jubilees offers a timeless message about the importance of living in sync with spiritual principles. In a world where time is often seen as a commodity to be managed and maximized, Jubilees reminds us that time itself is holy, that the rhythm of days, weeks, and seasons has spiritual significance. By following the solar calendar and observing the Sabbath, Jubilees suggests humanity aligns itself with God's cosmic design. This emphasis on sacred time serves as a reminder that our lives are more than just a series of moments to be filled. They are opportunities to engage with a higher order, to rest and renew in alignment with the Creator's intentions. Jubilees also speaks to the modern seeker's desire for stability and purpose in an often chaotic world. The book's portrayal of a universe where everything follows a preordained plan offers comfort to those who feel adrift, providing a framework in which every life has purpose, every law has meaning, and every event is part of God's overarching design. While many today may struggle with uncertainty, Jubilee suggests that there is a deeper order beneath the surface, a sacred pattern that is ever present even if it remains hidden from our immediate understanding. For readers and viewers seeking a sense of spiritual continuity, Jubilees provides a bridge between the ancient and the eternal. Its teachings about the heavenly tablets, the observance of divine commandments by both humans and angels, and the idea of laws that transcend generations offer a vision of faith that is both deeply rooted in tradition and expansive in scope. Jubilees encourages a view of religion as something that extends beyond individual lives, beyond cultures and epochs, embodying a spiritual heritage that connects the present with the dawn of creation. Yet, the spiritual lessons of Jubilees also come with challenges, especially its emphasis on cosmic determinism and the concept of a preordained history. In a world where many value free will and personal choice, Jubilees' portrayal of predestination and strict adherence to divine law may seem at odds with modern beliefs. However, rather than viewing this as a restriction, one might interpret it as an invitation to accept the things we cannot control and to focus on living with integrity within the divine order we find ourselves in. By embracing this perspective, readers are encouraged to let go of the need for control and instead find peace in trusting that God's plan is both perfect and purposeful. The mystical elements in Jubilees, such as the heavenly tablets and the role of angels in enforcing divine law, offer a way to approach spirituality with a sense of wonder. In an age that often emphasizes reason over mystery, Jubilees calls us to acknowledge the unseen, to consider that there may be forces beyond our understanding that help guide and uphold the moral and spiritual fabric of existence. This mystical worldview resonates with those who find value in the mysteries of faith, offering a vision of the universe that is as awe-inspiring as it is orderly. In preserving Jubilees, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church has safeguarded a text that challenges, inspires, and expands the scope of faith. For those open to exploring outside the boundaries of traditional canon, Jubilees offers a wealth of insights, encouraging us to see the laws, stories, and traditions of our faith as part of a grand, divine narrative that includes all creation. In this way, Jubilees provides a spiritual roadmap for living a life of meaning and purpose within the greater design of the universe. As we close this exploration, we invite viewers to consider the ways in which the teachings of Jubilees might resonate with their own spiritual journeys. Is there wisdom in the book's emphasis on obedience, sacred time, and cosmic order that we might incorporate into our lives? Can the vision of a divine, predetermined plan help us find peace and stability in an ever-changing world? By asking these questions, we keep alive the spirit of exploration that Jubilees embodies, a spirit that seeks not only to understand God's laws, but to live in harmony with them, to find our place within the eternal rhythm that connects all of creation. Thank you for joining us in this journey through the Book of Jubilees. We hope that this exploration has offered new insights into an ancient text and inspired you to continue seeking the deeper meanings that lie hidden within the sacred stories and teachings of our faith.